All right, here, hello everybody in YouTube land. This is Truckingpreneur, and I thought it kind of valuable and important to bring out something that I've been using for myself, and this is on I want to say without saying with the disclaimer that okay, I'm not a doctor, I'm not any type of a medical profession or certified clinical um, professional in any kind of way, but this is something for that I hope is anecdotal, that you can utilize for yourself and maybe hopefully have some success in helping you. But as a truck driver, I a lot of times we deal with a lot of issues that people really don't talk about, or at least I deal with a lot of issues that I don't talk about. One of them being, sometimes depression. You're by yourself a lot of times, and you get yourself in a lot of sometimes mental funks and mental problems and mental issues that you have to work yourself through and figure out how to accomplish that. So I do believe that practicing your faith or having a belief is something that that definitely helps me. So just on the side of the faith that I've chosen, which is Islam, I am wanting to share with you one of the things that I've been doing lately that have been extremely beneficial. All right, so this is and that's reading the Quran, but I believe that there needs to be a preface, because it's not just a matter of reading Quran as much as it is um, the entire thing that the Quran does. So first of all, let's start with Quran. It works multiple parts of the brain, okay? Because we memorize the Quran, we also recite the Quran in a melodious voice, and also we try to understand the meanings of the Quran and apply those meanings into our life, okay? So this is the tool I've been using with so far with great success, and this is a green tech app, and it's let's see here about the app here. This is the Green Tech Al Quran Tafsir word by word, and it's got several different explanations, or what we call exegesis. It's got the Tafsir of Ibn Kathir, as well as other tafsirs or explanations of the Quran, as well as it recites it sometimes ayat by ayat, even entire chapters or sections. You can set it up anyway. So this tutorial right here is really a guide for you to utilize this app for I should say, the same. Hopefully you can achieve some of the same results that I've achieved, and those results being greater mental stability, greater amounts of mental happiness, greater amounts of clarity of thought, and higher levels of intellect in what I'm doing here. So what I would like to do is let's see here, go through one verse and kind of look at how this app works and how I utilize it for daily affirmations and for daily meditations. So let's jump into that. Okay, so I'm going to start with a kind of I guess a hadith, right? And we're going to use the app in order to get into that issue or that hadith, all right? So let's see here. It opens like this, and then you have the icon up here in the upper right corner. See, that looks like a book there. Then that looks like a list, right? So this is what it looks like when you tap the book, right? It looks like this, where it looks like like what you would see if you open up a Quran, a Mus'haf, and then you have the list form where it lists each item one by one, and this is for deeper study. So you see up here on each verse where you have Bismillah Rahim, then you have number 2, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, and then Ar-Rahman Rahim, and on down the list until you finish to the last verse. And it does that for all of the chapters. So Now here, what I have set up for mine, and I'll show you how I set that up. I click this little toggle button in the upper right. So you have you have at the top here surah, page, juz, right, hizb, right. So we're going with surah, okay. Then you have view mode Arabic with translation, right, word by word, and then you select the language. Then you have Arabic font, what type of Arabic font you'd like to read in, and they have different ones that you can, both Indo-Pak more style, Asian style, and then you have these over here, okay. Then you have tajweed, and then tafsirs, right, show tafsirs, and and then other things all down the line, okay. All right, so now in here in the translations, right, you have tafsir Ibn Baghawi, Ibn Kathir, Muyassir, Qurtubi, Sa'di, Tabari, and Muhsin Khan, which is just the basic translations, right? But here up here you have the tafsir. Now, if you click these tafsir, these other ones like Ibn Kathir or Sa'di, right, it will also show up here in your verse by verse explanation. So that could make your list quite long. However, if you have the capabilities of copying and pasting or just reading the Arabic and translating that, however that goes, then this will improve and increase dramatically your understanding of each and every verse, which is going to be crucial when you're going to be reciting each verse. We take one single verse, right? The hadith is that the Prophet ﷺ, we're going to take that off of there because that's kind of a long list there. Yeah, I like Jalalain, that I've got Jalalain and the Sahih International, because it really, or else you can do Muhsin Khan, Taqidi and Halali, which is a good translation. Okay, so it's a little bit long, but it's good. It's quite it's quite comprehensive, his translation. So I'm gonna add that other one back on there as well, because I really do like the briefness of the Sahih International. So I'm gonna keep all three of these together. All right, so the way that the verse in the tafsir, right, which we hit the little hat right there, looks like a college hat, like a something, and also it starts listing the tafsir view for the tafsir of Ibn Kathir. Okay. So the thing that we want to remember is that the Prophet ﷺ, he said that, and it also lists the entirety of all the sources and everything. So it's really interesting, but incomplete. So at any rate, the Prophet ﷺ, he said that that the Quran is the key, that the Surah Al-Fatiha, this chapter, Surah Al-Fatiha, is the key to the entire Quran, right? And the entire Quran meaning all 114 chapters. Okay, so this first chapter is the key to the Quran, and then this one verse here, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in, is the key to this chapter, which is the key to the Quran. So it's like having a key to a key, if you will. Okay, let's see here if I can find the verse or the hadith where he mentions that. Okay. Okay, there's no mention that I can see quickly here of that one particular hadith. It could be placed in another part of this of the tafsir throughout for the whole of the Surah Al-Fatiha. ولكن. However, all right. So, however, this tafsir of the explanation of this verse here, it when you read through this tafsir, you read through the whole thing. Then you go back and you say, okay, now I'm going to focus my attention, and I would suggest that you focus your attention for both for memorization and for just reflection, right? Because the Quran was meant to be acted upon and reflected upon. So, so the idea is that you read the tafsir, right, and then you actually engage yourself. We're going to play this one verse. So we're going to play this one verse.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
And we're going to actually, since it's verse number 5, right, we're just going to set this on Surah Al-Fatiha 5 to Surah Al-Fatiha 5, and we got it set on repeat infinity. Then repeat the verse how many times? Multiple times. Oh no, we want to do none. Just gonna repeat the selection from 5 to 5, which is just that verse, and the verse delay. How many seconds in between each time the verse repeats? Do you want a second to reflect? 1 second, 2 seconds, half second? How do you want to do that? Okay, and I choose no seconds because it just keep it going. Maybe a brief second of reflection might be nice. Maybe I could do a half second, I guess. I don't know. I never put any time in there. So, at any rate, so now you're set up, right? So that it will only play from verse 5 to verse 5. That's it. Just verse number 5. And now we're going to push play.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين.
So the point of this is that now I'm going to sit down after reading the tafsir, after getting a brief kind of memorization of the verse, unless I have the verse already memorized. And even if I do have it memorized, now that I've read the tafsir and I have a deeper explanation of what the verse means, now I'm ready to actually start my daily meditation on that verse. And you can choose 1 verse or 3 verses or whatever it is, and then at that point, the recommendation is no more than 10 verses. So you can do from 1 to 10 verses, and that's just a brief recommendation. That's not set in stone, as far as reflection and memorization, but it is by the scholars of our religion, by the people who are dedicated their lives and what you might call the gurus of our religion, right? They say that 10 verses is enough to a person to reflect on until that person puts those verses into action. Whether you use them in your prayers or whatever, the point is to put that verse into action or utilize it in some kind of way, so that you're not just reading and becoming like a donkey with a load of books on its back with no comprehension, no purpose, just for a storehouse or just a moving storage, but actually that you put that knowledge and those words into practice, and thinking about them deeply, not just in reference to the linguistic meaning, the tafsir, but also considering the principles of Islam, like from the different things of aqidah, the different principles of aqidah, the different principles of tawheed, of understanding Islamic monotheism. So that's the way that I reflect on when I'm listening to a verse. and I take that verse and I listen to it 100 times and I repeat it 100 times, and I focus all of my attention on that verse, that I'm thinking about not just the verse itself, but the meanings of it, and internalizing the meanings of it, and also thinking about the things like the affirmation statements, like when Allah says Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, all praise to Allah, the Lord and cherisher of all the words. So I'm not just thinking about just the statement itself, but also I'm thinking about the tafsir, and also I'm thinking about the Lord, the name Rabb, the Lord, right? And what that means, both from a linguistic point of view, from all of that. So now we're really examining and reflecting on the Quran, and these are the ways that the Quran becomes a healing and a mercy for the people who read it and recite it and reflect on it, because they're listening to the teachings, they're reflecting on the deeper meanings, and also the principles that these words inculcate. Like in one of the verses, Allah says, "In shakartum la azidanakum," that if you are grateful, I will give you more. Right? However, we need to examine this, right? Meaning, if we're grateful, meaning, so the deeper meanings are obedience, tawheed, right? Because when Allah kicked the one we know of as Lucifer out of heaven, he was told, he asked Allah for respite. Please give me a chance to stay in heaven, or give me a chance. Don't just destroy me right away. So Allah said, I will give you time up until the day of judgment. And because Allah does not break his promise, the devil said, good, I will try to misguide, because you have banished me and rejected me from heaven. I will try to misguide as many of your creation as I possibly can. And he said most of them you will find will not be grateful. Right? So both the ingratitude of the favors, right? But also the main issue in gratitude is the belief in God, Tawheed, the singular belief in God, without any idols or any of that kind of thing. So when you reflect on the meanings, right, we also reflect on the subsequent matters that go with it. So we reflect on, God being the Lord of the universe, right? Inside and outside the universe, the Lord of all things. Then we also reflect on his right to be like the one that we call God has to be absolutely supreme. So that right of godship, of absolute domination and being God, is only deserved of one. Only one